Your cash flow, your profits, and your progress are a direct correlation to what you allow in your calendar, what you don't allow in your calendar. What is your starting point as far as your time and the value that you're getting out of your weeks from a profit, from cash flow, moving the business forward perspective. All right, rock stars, welcome to another no bullshit podcast for contractors, for you guys. So let's talk about the struggles we have with time. Okay, so if you're listening to this podcast, and let's define if it makes sense for you to keep listening to this podcast. If you want to get back more time in your contracting business, if you want to be able to have more time to do the things that you love, do the things that are definitely higher value as a CEO, as an owner of a contracting company. You've tried so many different things to try and get control of your time. You just can't get things delegated. You don't know where to start. And this vicious cycle, okay, just keeps going on and on. And especially if you have a team, this is going to really resonate with you. The more team players that you have, the bigger your contracting business is, the harder it actually gets to manage time, because we're actually managing other people's time beyond our own. Now, for those of you that don't have a team or you've got a small team, this is just as applicable, because time is something, no matter where you're at in the journey of growing your contracting business, it's a freaking struggle, okay? We don't wake up in the morning, okay, and go, man, I want to be in chaos, man. I want to not be able to focus in on the things that I need to focus in on. We don't do that, okay? Like, that's just not part of who we are as humans, but especially as entrepreneurs. We really want to grow our business, okay? And if we can't get control of our time, if you can't get the ability and the insights to work on higher value tasks, then this principle is going to really resonate with you, which is that your cash flow and your profits and your progress are a direct correlation to your calendar. I'll say that again. Your cash flow, your profits, and your progress are a direct correlation to what you allow in your calendar, what you don't allow in your calendar. And that's what we're going to be covering off today. So if that at all resonates with you, again, this is the No Bullshit Podcast. I'm actually going to show you guys how our champion CEOs do it, getting back, 10, 20, honestly, plus hours a week of their time. As a matter of fact, as they go through this process and as their business grows, this is something that you're going to want to apply over and over again. Why? Because as you grow your contracting company, you start letting go of different hats. And we're going to talk about that today, okay? But you start letting go of hats and you start taking on hats. So what that means is we want to take on hats that are higher value. And so if we don't constantly reset what our calendar should look like, then other people are going to make it look the way that they want it to look. And in a lot of cases, that's not in our best interest. Okay. So this is something that you just don't want to look at today. And I'll show you guys the actual tool that we use over and over and over again. It's a rinse and repeat. And it is, it has to be repeated because, like I said, as you move closer and closer to doing activities as a champion CEO, your calendar has to change. And if your calendar doesn't change, then your business isn't going to change. If your calendar doesn't change, your cash flow is not going to change. If your calendar doesn't change, your profits aren't going to change. And it goes on and on and on. So again, if you're struggling with time, if you're not making the progress you want with your contracting business and you're not able to focus in on the things that you need and want to focus in on, if you feel like it's Groundhog Day, if you feel like you've hit a glass ceiling of progress because you just can't get beyond, this constraint of where your time is being sucked, I call it like time leeches, people like a leech sucking every ounce of juice out of your time, then this is the right podcast for you. Now that we've covered off some of the challenges, let's talk about some of the principles here. When we're looking at how we approach this, it's a very specific order, okay? So when you're trying to solve a problem, just like if you guys are natural problem solvers, I know that as a fellow tradie, you can't be a good tradesperson unless you're naturally good and have gotten really good at being a problem solver. Now, we tend to be pretty good at that from the technical aspect. In other words, if you put me, even though I haven't, wired an automation line in 25 years, if you still put me out in the field right now today, and I walked into a factory, my skill set is still there. It's like, it's going to be with me until the day I die, unless I injure my head or something, that I can actually walk in and I can actually know what's going on, even in the control panel before I even open it, because I have that skill set. And if there's something wrong with the automation line, if something's wrong, I'm able to, through a specific framework, for the longest time that didn't write it out, but that framework of how I approach it allows me to solve the problem. Okay. So we're going to take a framework in how we have to approach this. And here's the thing. If you don't have this framework, what will happen is that you won't be able to get beyond those problems that I just talked about. It'll just keep on happening. And as a matter of fact, I just talked to somebody who's decided to really take the business to the next level and work with us. And he's doubled his sales, but his profits have remained the same. And he just doesn't know what to do. Okay. Now, let's be clear. This isn't the end all, the be all. I'm not going to bullshit you, but this is a huge step forward. And it's one of the most important things that we focus in on. It's the first thing we focus in on in helping family members that come into Profit for Contractors to really get them to move the needle. Okay. Because no matter what strategies we give, no matter what insights we give, even today, if you don't get better control of your time, you're not going to be able to apply it. Okay. If you don't get control of your time, you're not going to be able to make a shift for yourself and for your team, for your clients, and for where the heck it is you're going. All right. And I'll just use this analogy before we get into this training. Okay. Is if you know where you're at, which a lot of contractors don't, but you need to know where you're at. And in this case, regarding your time. But if you don't know where you're at and you don't know where you're going, you're screwed. Okay? You're lost, guaranteed. All right. But even if you know where you're at and you know where you want to go, if you don't have the right structure and skill set to leverage your time, even if I handed you gold right in front of you to say, man, here's the 5 things you need to do to get from where you're at to where it is you want to go. And if you don't have time to pick up those, let's say, bricks of gold under your feet, you're never going to be able to benefit from it. Okay. So let's get into this. So the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is this baby right here. So we're going to go through this little tool. All right. And the purpose of this tool, it's called the Contractors Time Audit. Go figure, right? I'm going to show you guys how to get your hands on this if you don't have it already. Now there's a lot of different trainings and principles that are in this beyond what I'm going to show you today, but I'm going to focus in on a couple of key ones to get the dial moving for you when it comes to getting better control of your time. I want you to leave this in the next 10, 15 minutes with the ability to go, holy shit, that's been an eye opener. Oh my God, I know now what I've got to start doing. And I know what the next steps are. Okay. So that's where I want you to be by the time we leave this. So let's get into it. So one of the things we're looking at this time audit, okay? Again, you can see I'm flipping through these pages, all right? I'm just going to focus in on this guy right here, okay? Here we go, okay? So I'm just going to read this out to you. Again, I'm reading it out because you might be driving in your truck listening to this podcast. So try and visualizing and try and make things visual here for you so that if you're just listening in on the audio and you're driving your truck, for whatever reason, you can't see the tool that I'm sharing, you're at least going to get the benefit of what it is I'm covering off, regardless of that. If you are at the office, I'm going to show you how to download this, how to get this tool. So let's get rock and rolling. So just reading out this page, I'm on page 4 of this Contractors Time Audit. Let's call it Maximizer, right? It says here, how can I create more time? Okay. So I'm going to read exactly what it says. Take the list of tasks that you did from this super quick time study and transfer them to this list. All right. So I'm not going to cover that off today, but I want you to understand that when we look at our time, okay, if we don't audit, in other words, if we don't look back to where we spent our time and reflecting on something I said earlier, in other words, knowing where you're at, your starting point, if you don't know your starting point, you're in trouble, okay? I could have the best destination for you. I could have all these tools. I could have all the solutions for you. But if you don't know where you're at, even in the forest, you could be 5 feet away, 20 feet away from the road. And if you're lost and you're in the forest and you don't know where you're at, you don't know what direction, you could just be walking completely in the wrong direction. Meanwhile, if you had have known where you're at, within seconds, you would have been back on track to get out of there. Okay. So one of the key things we want to do here's the principle, is you've got to create a list of what are the things that you're doing. Okay. That's our starting point. So we want to create a list. And the reason we want to create the list is we want to be able to reflect to determine these 4 different things. Okay. There are more than 4, but there's 4 areas. One is, what's the skill set? What's the value? I'm going to teach you this desk principle in just a second. And what's the priority? You see, if you've got a whole list of things on your plate and they're at the wrong skill set for what you should be focusing in on as the owner of the company, and the wrong value, in other words, low value, guys, back to my principle about the calendar. If you're doing, let's say, for example, we look at your calendar. Let's say we look at your week. This is your week, okay? We got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, okay? So if we look at the work week, and we'll talk about the weekend here in just a second. But if we're looking at your week, and let's say you start at a lot of contractors at 7 a.m., right? You're working till probably, I don't know, let's say 5 p.m. plus, right? If you're putting in time on things that are only worth $20 an hour, even $30 an hour, this is where you're spending your time, even $40 an hour as an owner, okay? And this is where you're putting your time. I hate to tell you that if that continues, your week is you're only going to get out of your week what the value is of the time that you put into your week. Our job today is to be able to assess where are we currently at against the tasks that we're doing versus the tasks that we should be doing. And the audit is the starting point. And don't worry about perfecting it, just rough it. So even if you're driving in the truck, I'm going to tell you right now, or you're at the office, I'm going to tell you right now that this is a game changer for you. I've had so many, our champion CEOs, every single champion CEO that comes here at PFC, they do this audit. And what blows them away is they start to realize, holy shit, I'm spending this much time driving from job site to job site. I'm delivering material for 8 hours, out of the week, 2 hours here, 3 hours there, 1 hour there. I'm cleaning the shop for this long, and the list goes on. Literally, the list goes on. Let's talk about the list. So what we've done with this tool is we've proactively started to fill out this list for you. Okay. We've filled out over 38 tasks that contractors, owners of contracting companies tend to do. Some of them we want to keep, some of them we want to get rid of, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But doing the audit is so critical. So if you look at this list and you get this tool, it's going to allow you to accelerate instead of going, okay, what are the things that I'm doing? It's going to kickstart that engine. It's going to get you, to have some momentum moving forward, because you're going to be able to look at this list and go, hey man, am I, as the list that I'm sharing, for those of you that can see it, great. For those of you that can't, one of the items on the list is receivables, calling, picking up checks. Okay. Another one is bringing on new employees, inducting them. Another one is hosting interviews. Another one is, packing the truck, packing the tools, quoting small jobs. The list goes on and on and on. So this is like an accelerator for you to do an audit. So this is the starting point, is to identify what are the things that you're doing. So that's step number 1, okay, is identify my current task. Okay. Now you can go to the previous page and instructions and do fairly in-depth time audit, but I'm not saying you need to do that. Let's just get you going. Let's just rough it for now. So you're going to take this list, you're going to start writing down all the things you're doing. Next, what we're going to do, so that's step number what? That's step number 1, is create the list of the tasks that I'm doing. That's it. So now what we're going to do, step number 2, is we are going to identify, we're going to categorize them. So we've got this list. Now we got to be honest with ourselves and brutally, ruthlessly say to ourselves, how am I going to rate these things? And the purpose of rating these things is going to give us the ability to do what I call is the DESK acronym. and I'm going to skip ahead a bit. What is the DES acronym? I'll come back to it in more detail in a second. It's going to allow us to determine what are the things we got to delegate, what are the things we got to eliminate, what are the things, right, that we have to systemize, and what are the things that we need to keep. That's a game changer. Especially the things we need to delegate and the things that we need to eliminate. I can guarantee you this right now. I don't care what level you're at in your contracting business, doing this exercise, you're going to get back a minimum of 10 hours a week. And then we're going to talk about the value of that 10 hours in just a second here. But getting back 10 hours a week and replacing it with higher value tasks is a complete game changer to your cash flow, your profits, and your progress. Let me give you an example. Getting back 10 hours a week, and it's going to be a lot more than that, but getting back 10 hours a week by delegating, eliminating, and systemizing, and really just focusing on the ones that you got to keep is massive. And it's almost an instant effect on your business. So instead of us having this calendar that shows, that we're doing $20 an hour tasks, $30 an hour tasks, $40 an hour tasks, and it all adds up. It adds up to like poverty. Okay? It adds up to not making what it is that we're worthy and worth as an owner of a business. Let's say we flip that. So let's go and flip that. See if I can erase some of this stuff here. Let's say that we replace it. I'm going to help you out today in just the next 5 minutes or so. Just stick with me. We're going to identify what are those things that are higher value. I'm going to give a couple little examples. Let's say that we're able to land more Class A clients because we're able to follow up. We've got the time to do it. We've got the time to go and market ourselves. We've got the time to focus in on getting our sales process better, being able to filter fast. And with that extra 10 hours, let's say we're able to put in an extra 3 hours a week of quoting Class A clients and landing Class A clients. So if we're able to put in an extra 3 hours a week and be able to land an extra 1 or 2 or 3 or even more clients in a week, what's the impact going to be on your business? Think about what your average job size is. If your average job size is $10,000 and you're making, let's say low end, you're making net profit. I mean, after expenses, after everything, you're making 10% bottom line. On a $10,000 job, that's $1,000 in profit, bottom line profit in your hands. So if you're able to do more of those types of tasks, the value of your time goes up, the value of what you get out of your week goes up, your cash flows goes up, your profits go up. But let's just use it just mathematically. If we're able to do tasks like that, and there's a whole list of them, tons of things, and you already know some of these things where you're like, I need more time to do this. If we're able to get more time to do it, which I'm going to show you how to do that in a second, it's a massive amplifier. And I've got my little calculator here, so I know I'm not going to bullshit us here with some throwing out a number. This is actual, real. So let's say we're able to get 10 plus hours per week back, minimum. And let's say that we're able to, instead of doing $20, $30 an hour tasks, $40 an hour tasks from a value perspective, we're able to do tasks that get us an extra $250 an hour. Like if you're quoting jobs, by the way, and you're not making an extra $250, and that's just one example, an extra $250, or you're not making minimum $250 or more in profits, man, you got to stop doing that type of work, okay? If we look at this and say, bottom line, I'm sandbagging this, and we're able to do more tasks that are $250 an hour, we're able to do 3 hours extra of that out of the 10, like quoting, we're going to start adding this up. Let's say we're able to do that for other things, making the jobs more profitable by making sure that the guys have the right systems and checklists, and we increase our efficiency of our jobs by 10%. We could easily be making an extra $250 an hour just on making your jobs more efficient. The list goes on and on. But let's just say we only use 3 hours a week. That's it. Forget the 10. We use just 3 hours of doing more of these types of tasks. Let's see what happens. So we got 3 hours times 250, okay? Times what? 52 weeks in the year. Guys, just 3 hours a week is an extra $40K in your hand. Now, let's say we're able to do 10 hours of those types of tasks. Here we go. No bullshit. So that's 250 times 10. That means every week we're making an extra, what? $2,500 per week times 52 weeks in the year. That's an extra $130,000 in what? Profit, not sales, profit, cash flow, money in your head. Now, if this hasn't resonated yet with you, then you might want to stop listening. Okay, you might want to turn off the podcast. You might go and watch Netflix or something, or do something to clean the shop. But guys, that's where we're heading today. So let's do this in the next 5 minutes or less. Okay, I'm going to say maximum 10 minutes. No bullshit. So this is why we want to do this, so that we can get more and more out of our weeks. Now, imagine if we're able to apply this to our team. Imagine if we're able to get our team to do things that are more valuable. Yeah, then we go to the next level, but we're just focusing on you today. So when we look at this list, remember, step number 1, identify the things you're doing. Go and print this thing off, download on your iPad like I'm doing. Just simply go through and go, yeah, I'm doing this. Yep. And if you're not doing some of this stuff, no problem. Just to validate that you actually went through this, you could go, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this, not doing this. All right. So that's the first thing. Simple. Takes you less than 5-10 minutes to do the check. Next, we're going to look at rating these things. And this is really important. This is where you got to slow down a bit. You want to rate what is the skill set. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. Is it low? You can just put an L, you can put an M, you can put an H. Is it low, medium, and high? So follow me through. I'll explain to you why we're doing this in just a second. You're going to do the same thing for value. You might get an idea where I'm going. You want to go, is it high? Is it medium? Is it low? Maybe some are high skill set, some are high value, some are medium skill set and high value, and the list goes on. That's the next step, is identify just skill set and value. Pause right there. That's step number 2. This guy right here. That's it. That's all you're going to do. Easy peasy. That will take you another 5-10 minutes. Just single letters, L's and H's, M's, and we're good to go. Now we take that information, and this is where the game changer happens. We've gone through the list. We've identified which things are what skill set value. Now it's game on. Because we're going to use a model right now that's going to get you to get the clarity you need to know what are the things that you need to delegate. What are the things that you need to eliminate? What are the things we need to systemize, and what are the things we've got to keep? So that when we go back to that list, we're going to know what to do and with what things we got to do what with. So all you've got to do is once you look at that list, we're going to determine right away the first place that we want to eliminate is this guy right here. I'm just going to cut right to the chase. You're an owner of a company. We need to start thinking like an owner of a company. If you are doing things in this level right here that are low skill set and they're low value, let's look at some examples. Okay. Loading the trucks with material. Okay. Like stocking the trucks, cleaning the shop, washing the toilets, taking out the garbage, delivering material. You guys get the idea? Okay, you get the idea of these things? How many of these things are you doing? How many of those things? And I don't care if there's just one of them. We have got to delegate and eliminate those once and for all. Why? Because they are low skill set things. They are low value things that are way above your pay grade. That's the first principle. The second principle is the reason you want to focus in on this beyond that is these are the easiest things to get rid of. Why? Because they are low skill set. So if you're delegating cleaning the trucks, you're delegating loading the trucks, delivering the material, there's a whole list of them. Using those examples, those are things that we can delegate. And because the skill set is low, the risk factor is low. In other words, it's easy to train people on those things super, super quickly because because they require a low skill set. Now, here's one of the other benefits of this. If that goes to the shits a bit, they don't load the truck properly. They don't clean the shop to the way that you like. And there's some, say, negative repercussions of that. Maybe something didn't, maybe something didn't get put in the right spot on inventory and things of that nature, and it costs a little bit of time. Here's the best part of it. Because it's such a low value task, the risk of the negative impact is low. That's why we want to focus on low skill set, low value things. This day forward, we have got to be obsessed with getting that shit off of your plate. So that's the first area that we look at. So this is the first area in this grid. You want to take the things from your list up here, okay? And you want to determine, like, look at this, guys. Take this one, packing the truck. Okay, that would fit into that. Packing the tools. Those are two examples of, picking up material, ordering material, okay? Those are, I just, in seconds, highlighted 4 things that would fall into that box. And now that we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to do one step at a time. We're going to do one box at a time. Then we're going to go up and we're going to go, hey, we're going to look at these, we're going to look at these items and we're going to simply put, like, this is not rocket science. Okay, we're going to simply put right in here. We look at this list. Holy shit, I'm going to need to delegate that. I need to delegate this. Okay, packing the tools. I need to delegate packing the truck. I need to delegate, picking up material. Now, you might question going, it's a medium skill set as far as order material. So let's just pause on that one. We want to go again with the low-hanging fruit stuff. This is stuff that that you can get off your plate. Now, when we look at this from the next step, we want to prioritize it. We want to just simply put and go, this is like a 10, 10 out of 10. Notice I'm using colors here. This is a 10 out of 10 of priority. Why? Because we can get this off our plate and instantly we can get time back. Let's say we're getting 2 hours here. We're getting 3 hours here. This is just 4 items, picking up material, guys. We see people come in here and they're putting in 5, 10 plus hours. Even if we put 5 hours here. Look, guys, that's already 10 hours just with 4 fucking items that are easy to delegate, low risk and low value. So we've got to get ruthless. And everybody listening in on this, these principles apply to every single one of you, but it's going to be different for everybody as far as what's on your list, what's going to be a priority, what's the easiest thing to get rid of. Then we're going to go really quickly. I'm going to be a little bit quicker on this one. Then the next block we got to focus in on is the things that are low skill set, but high value. Example of that, I'm just going to give one example of each of these other things, is going to be like picking up checks. So yeah, it's a high value thing. Why? Because we're getting paid. But is it a high skill set to drive out to a client and, or somebody that's going to be, writing a check and giving it to someone? These are things, guys, this is the second area that we got to look at. All right. And these are the things that we want to focus in on. Why? Because skill set is one of the primary drivers of what defines making something easy to delegate. Because skill set means if it's low skill set, that means there's not as many steps to it. Cleaning the toilet, guys, you look at McDonald's, right? That's one of the things they have. They got a little sign there. People sign their name. They put their time when they did it. It's super simple. It's super simple to delegate. So we want to do that. That's the second area. We do the same thing. Go back up to the list. We, base it upon what? The skill set and the value, like we talked about. Then we determine which ones we're going to delegate. And then what we can do is we can prioritize, hey, this is the first one that we're going to start with. This is the second one. Okay, this is the third one. And stop there. I don't want you going much further. If you've got anything, if you can get up to 2 to 3 things, stop this exercise and go to the next step, which is getting it off your plate. Well, because that's going to accelerate. If you just got one of the things off your plate that we talked about, like you talked about delivering material. Are we getting our suppliers are we leveraging them enough to get material delivered? Are we? Okay. Are we leveraging somebody like we used to call them a grunt, okay, or a runner or whatever to go and deliver material? Or are we got too much pride, okay, in hiring somebody that's a minimum wage to go and do that. And yet we just keep doing it because we're using it as procrastination. We're using it as a way to get a break or things of that nature. And I get it, but that's not going to move the needle. That's not going to move your business forward. So this is the tool, guys, to take things to the next level. And if you want to get it, you want to get this tool, all you got to do is just type in time audit and you guys will get it. All right. So I hope that this has been valuable for you and everybody listening in. You've got to get control of your time. This is one of the easiest ways to get control of your time and to really get a gauge of where are you at. Let's go back to my little diagram here, right? Where are you at? What is your starting point as far as your time and the value that you're getting out of your weeks from a profit, from a cash flow, from a, moving the business forward perspective. And once we get that level of awareness, I'm telling you, just the level of awareness will drive you sometimes a little bit insane, but in a good way. They go, fuck, man, I got to stop doing that stuff. Then what this allows us to do is it creates a pathway. Using that list and identifying, hey, here's the 3 things Andrew told me once I identified 3 things that I got to delegate or eliminate. And by the way, on the eliminate side, one of the best examples of eliminating is Class D fucking clients, okay? That means we're not delegating it to anybody. Nobody's taking it on. We're just getting rid of it. Like getting rid of Class D deadbeat clients that are tire kickers that don't pay you, use you as a bank. Class C clients you can't deal with because all they do is fucking complain, and only just focus on the A's and the B's. Your whole team's going to be happier. Your clients are actually going to be happier because you're going to be happier. And so is the team. And that makes everybody happier. And you're going to be working with people that respect your value. So eliminating just one Class D or Class C client, think about how much time and money and cash, that's going to help, okay, by getting rid of those people. So when we know where we're at, then we can start focusing on where it is that we want to get. What are the results we want? So we're really getting what is the reality, and then we're identifying the roadblocks, okay, that are in our path of getting us to maximize and optimize our calendar. When we face reality and get clear in our results, and we can eliminate these freaking roadblocks, in this case, tasks that you shouldn't be doing that are not, at your pay grade, or eliminating things or systemizing things and really focusing in on the things you got to keep, your profits, your cash flow, and your time will skyrocket. Okay? Massively. So that's another No Bullshit podcast for contractors. Again, if you want to get that tool, just type in time audit. If you want to get more insights and more training complimentary here at PFC, join the Profitable Contractor Association. And when you get in there, ask away. All right. There's over 20,000 members in there. Don't do this alone. Don't be alone. Let's get your business to where it's got to go. And I will see you on the flip. Ciao. Hey, rock stars. Thank you for watching the No Bullshit podcast for contractors. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button. And if you're serious about growing and need help, click on the link below. Myself and my team would love to help and give you the necessary tools so you can take your contracting business to the next level. And remember, dominate, delegate, and deliver.